Hi, in this video series I want to tell you about a few really cool things that will happen to you later on the twin flame journey. And I'm going to share a few secrets and show you tricks for how you too can speed up your process. There are a few points to pay attention to, points whose effect is underestimated, and there's knowledge about the soul that hasn't made it into mainstream esotericism and the twin flame community. A disclaimer at this point, I'm speaking from my own experience here. What worked for me doesn't have to work for you, though it should, since the soul's journey is very individual, but there are basic mechanics, and most of these are already communicated by the good twin flame coaches. I'm not sure if you know my story and my book. A lot has developed since then. I still don't have contact with my twin, but that's not a bad thing either. You can see and feel how things are developing. Personally, I'm making great progress on every level. What can I say? Most of what's said on the internet is true, even the crazy stuff like switching timelines and developing new spiritual skills. Crazy only at first glance, it's all connected to the mystery of consciousness and the structure of the world. And I hope this doesn't sound arrogant or preachy. I just want to show you what's possible on this journey. And I want to be honest, I don't do all that much for it, most of it happens automatically. I see how many people work hard spiritually, and maybe it's not that work at all, but other things that are far more important. Stick around to the end, I'll show you in a moment what worked for me. Whatever else is still going to happen, the teams are on the field now, the ball is rolling, my twin triggered a mass awakening, a crazy thing. By now it's not just about the twin flame project anymore. I'm fairly active locally with another project, and I'm turning writing into my profession right now, a very exciting and challenging time for me. I've learned so much through my twin flame book and this channel, and found my way back to myself and my purpose. When I think of her, I can't even describe the gratitude I feel for the fact that she triggered all of this. Genuine gratitude is important and has an incredibly positive energy and effect. If you don't feel gratitude for meeting your twin and for the journey, then something's off. Sooner or later, positive changes should start showing up in you and in your life, and with that, a reason for gratitude. The synchronicities aren't letting up, they're getting more direct and more incredible. There are many I can't even talk about because they're too personal. Her name shows up in places where it really shouldn't be able to. Coincidences and synchronicities are an important point, and maybe it's not entirely clear to everyone what that actually means. They're not simply symbols or signposts, they're an experienced and lived oneness with the universe. Maybe that feeling only comes once you've really experienced a huge number of coincidences that go beyond selective perception and reasonable explanations, but it shows you that you're connected to the world, that it's clearly responding to your growing consciousness. One of the most incredible things I've experienced was seeing the name of my deceased bird show up in the URL of a YouTube video on my German channel, in a randomly generated code, exactly at the time he passed away. Here's something else important to understand. You need to detach from the classic religious interpretations of words like soul and God. Those are human interpretations of things we can't fully understand. God is not a person and the soul is not a glowing ball of energy. A scientific perspective on the subject can't hurt. To help the brain understand, that means engaging with basic quantum mechanics, with the energetic structure of being. That's what's happening in the background, behind the visible world. Developing and holding a stable frequency becomes very important. Whatever we see here in the 3D world, on deeper levels of being, everything consists of energy and information, which is why you need to learn to control your energy. But it's not just modern science. Knowledge of the soul is ancient. The soul was already science long before science even existed. I'd advise you to engage with the old knowledge of the soul, the knowledge of mystics and shamans, the teachings of Hermeticism, what the alchemists said about the transformation of the spirit. In the German-speaking world, for example, there are well-known mystics like Meister Eckhart or Hildegard von Bingen, who made valuable statements in their writings. If you do that, you'll be very surprised, because you'll recognize the twin flame process everywhere in there, because all of it is really only ever about one thing: the soul's journey, the awakening, the transformation, and the ascension. The difference is the speed, and the external catalyst, in the form of the simulated incarnation. Even in the dark corners of esotericism, in the closed and secret societies, it's about knowledge of the soul. Remember this sentence: the greatest conspiracy isn't a worldly one, it's a spiritual one. These are initiatory systems that pass on knowledge from certain levels onward, over many years, dressed up in stories and rituals, and the ego is broken, often through trauma and shock too. That's the dark side of spirituality. It's not just the good guys who do this, and it's probably the background behind those parties and orgies you read about, sex magic techniques where Kundalini is activated and made to rise. A dark topic. I'd like to make an explanatory video about it sometime, but the spirits of the video machine, as I call the algorithm, really don't seem to like that. Let's talk briefly about Ascension itself. You're not going to get that from a certificate after some online coaching. That's a business idea, not Ascension. It's structural. Ascension is moksha, the last life. Finally, after countless incarnations the soul recognizes itself and the world. Ultimately, by the way, this realization comes down to a paradox. In the course of my research, I've developed my own theory about the ascension process. If you're interested in the metaphysics behind the twin flame phenomenon, take a look at my book or the videos here. Okay, so what's been going on with me? I've noticed how my thinking has changed. Might sound strange, but my brain projects complex patterns into the future, into the past. Not direct, analytical thinking, more like an invisible mental overlay over reality. How do I describe it? I feel possibilities, options, paths, causalities, chains of events.